Hey there, pretty peas. First, can we just take a moment to appreciate my shirt? I love it. Also, if you are wondering how my husband and I are able to raise meat chickens in the summer heat in Arizona, here's how we do it. This is our setup. So these chickens are old enough that they really don't need a heat lamp, and during the night it stays pretty warm in this garage, so we really haven't had to use a heat lamp on these guys yet, even at night. But during the day it really heats up in this garage, so that's why we have this little portable air conditioner that blows right onto them, and you can see that these little guys are really enjoying the nice cool air. Now, you may be thinking, what happens when they get a bit older? That wall doesn't seem very tall. What if they jump out? Well, we've got a solution for that too. You'll see here we have a bunch of turkeys, and this is our barn area. We're actually in the middle of reconstructing it, so this whole half has been taken down, and this whole half will be taken down in the future too. But this gives them protection from the elephants. Ugh. But we've got a nice misting system, and then we also have a fan that's currently off because it's kind of cool and windy out here, but that is, oh, my husband just turned it on, haha. And then of course some bug protection. We've got a little wading pool in here that the turkeys like to sit in. And then in here is where we keep the meat chickens that are just about to harvest. The reason that we keep them separate is because they spend most of their time laying down. And if we were to keep them in general population, it's really likely that they would just get pecked to death by the other chickens, or definitely the turkeys, because the turkeys tend to be pretty aggressive towards animals that aren't really moving. Don't ask me why, they're just dumb. It occurred to me while I was editing this that some of you may think that we keep the meat chickens in that small little area like for good, but that was a very, very temporary solution to us putting up the other half of the barn and enclosing it so that they have a much larger area to roam around, and they're not just in that small little confined area. So they were really only in there for a couple of days. Back to the show. Now, we only keep our meat chickens around for about 8 weeks until we harvest them. And if you want to know how we do our harvesting process, there is a video if you look back through our page on us processing. However, it is an old video from when we only were doing a couple of chickens at a time. And since then, we have really upped our game. We got a plucker, we got all kinds of things. So I will make a new video and upload that for you guys to see what our new process is, and you can see how we process our own meat at home right here in Arizona. It has been a long time since I did any TLC to my garden or pond, and I went out and saw that my filter had completely stopped working. Upon further investigation, I realized that my pump was infested with snails. I didn't even know I had snails. It was done for, so we had to scrap that pump and get a new one. My husband ran out and got this for me and some algaecide because the algae had really taken over in the pond by then. So I got this out and I got it all hooked up. This one was super nice because it hooked directly up to a regular garden hose. So once I had it plugged in, I was able to just drain that yucky pond water directly into my garden beds in order to water all of my plants so that none of that water was going to waste. Once I finished watering everything, I had to take apart my filter completely. And realizing that these filter pads were so beyond hope, I went ahead and ordered some new ones. However, they wouldn't be in for a couple of days, so I was going to have to make do with what I could. This part ended up being really satisfying. I took everything apart layer by layer in my filter, and I rinsed it all out with the high pressure with my hose. This was probably the most satisfying part of the whole ordeal. Once I got everything cleaned up, I put it back together layer by layer. I know that this was not perfect, but it had to do for right now until my new filter pads come in. I put some bio balls in the bottom and rinsed those out, and once I had everything put back together, this is what she looked like. The ducks are happy, the fish are happy, and I'm happy. But since I got that pest sorted out, turns out I had a new one. I have a mouse problem in my garden, and so I am going to try and do my best to clean up my tomato garden to hopefully give them less hiding spaces and less things to climb on, and hopefully they'll just go away. So follow along as I clean up this freaking mess of tomatoes right here. Oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? As you can see, it's been a hot minute since I've been in here to do any type of trimming. And if you look in here, the mice have just been getting in and eating all of my tomatoes and leaving yummy poop. So we're gonna try and clean this up and hopefully get rid of this problem. I did originally buy some mouse traps, but that didn't work. We tried shooting them and that didn't work. So short of attaching little knives and letting them sort themselves out, I had to go into my garden and start clipping all of the bottom area out so that they had nothing to climb on, which I know that it kind of looks like I know what I'm doing here, but honestly, I was just clipping and praying at this point because I could not see anything. I didn't even know where half these vines were coming from. Honestly, like, what am I even clipping? I did try to save as many of the tomatoes as possible, but a lot of them ended up going to waste because they had little mouse nibbles on them. This felt like it took me absolutely forever to get through, and I did do a lot of trimming, and then I was able to take the vines and kind of twist them around the very top of my garden bed to keep the vines up off the floor. I did eventually end up with this, and this is what it looked like when I was done. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. Mediocre at best. I know that this was a really chaotic video. My life is a little chaotic, so there's that. Also, we got a cat. Subscribe!